All right, let's get into a really great story today. It's one of those classic fables, you know? It's all about a simple transaction, a really cunning dispute, and an even cleverer solution. It just goes to show how true wisdom can untangle even the trickiest of problems. So let me ask you this. Can you sell a box but keep what's inside? It sounds kind of weird, right? Well, that simple question is the absolute heart of the story we're about to explore. In this tale, it becomes the foundation for a brilliant, sneaky trick and an even more brilliant act of justice. Our story kicks off in a small village, and it starts with a problem that seems, well, pretty straightforward. You've got a farmer who needs water. A neighbor has a well. The solution seems obvious, doesn't it? But, well, maybe not. So, on one side, you've got our main guy, a really hardworking farmer. Through his own sweat and effort, he's starting to do pretty well for himself. And on the other side, his neighbor, a guy who sees an opportunity. Not in hard work, but in let's just say, a very cunning plan. Look, the farmer's logic here is crystal clear. He's expanding his farm, right? He's got more land, so of course he needs more water. So what does he do? He does the sensible thing. He buys the well that's right there next to his new field from his neighbor. It feels like a simple, straightforward purchase. And this is where that simple, straightforward purchase suddenly gets very, very complicated. See, the farmer thinks he's solved his problem, but his neighbor, oh, he has other ideas. I mean, just picture it. Imagine the farmer's total confusion. He shows up at his brand new well, bucket in hand, all ready to water his crops. And who's standing there? The guy who sold it to him. And he's blocking the way, refusing to let him get anywhere near it. And then the neighbor drops this bombshell. And what's amazing here is just the sheer nerve of it all. He's basically using a loophole that he invented himself. He's arguing, hey, I sold you the physical structure, the rocks, the rope, the whole thing, but not the water inside. It's such a classic case of playing games with words, you know, using the letter of the deal to completely destroy its spirit. So this is the heart of the fight right here. The farmer's argument is pure common sense. What good is a well if you can't use the water in it? But the neighbor, he's hiding behind this totally absurd, literal, and, let's be honest, completely dishonest reading of their agreement. So the farmer, he's just baffled by this whole thing. This logic is crazy. He realizes he can't win this argument on his own. He needs someone to step in. Someone who deals not just in rules, but in what's right and fair. He needs the village council, the panchayat. Now, for anyone who might not know, a panchayat is basically a council of village elders. In a lot of places in South Asia, they're the local judges, they settle disputes, they keep the peace, and they do it with wisdom and the respect of the whole community. This is where the farmer is pinning all his hopes. And you know, this isn't some secret meeting. The village chief calls a formal hearing. The entire community gathers under the big banyan tree. This dispute is now out in the open for everyone to see and for justice to be done. And even here, in front of all these respected elders, in front of all his neighbors, the tricky guy doesn't back down. Nope, he doubles down on it. He just keeps repeating his ridiculous claim that he only sold the well, not the water. He was completely, totally adamant. Okay, so everyone's had their chance to speak. The arguments are on the table, the panchayat has talked it over, and now the whole village is just holding its breath, waiting to hear the final judgment. The village chief starts to speak, and oh man, you can just feel the farmer's heart sink as he hears these words. And the neighbor, he's probably got this smug little smile on his face. It looks like his twisted logic has actually worked. But then, and this is just brilliant. This is what true wisdom looks like. The panchayat doesn't argue with the neighbor's crazy idea. They say, okay, we accept it, and then they turn it right back on him. It's this incredible move that uses his own flawed logic to beat him. And here's where the trap springs shut. The panchayat gives the neighbor this impossible choice, but it's based entirely on his own argument. You own the water? Okay, fine. Then you need to get your property out of the farmer's well, right now. Or you can just admit that the water belongs to the person who owns the well. See? He's totally trapped by his own cleverness. So, with the trap sprung and justice served, everything gets sorted out pretty quickly. And the real moral of the story becomes crystal clear to everyone who is there to see it. So what happens? Well, the farmer gets his well. And the water. The sleeky neighbor not only loses, but he also has to pay a fine and apologize publicly for what he did. And, most importantly, the whole village's faith in justice and in the deep wisdom of their elders is stronger than ever. And that's really what this simple story leaves us thinking about. It shows us that sometimes just following the strict rules, the letter of the law, or the words of a contract, well, it's not enough. Real justice often means you have to look deeper, to see the spirit of an agreement, to understand what people really meant. And sometimes you need a little dose of clever wisdom to make sure fairness wins the day.